Hello there and welcome to the tiebreaks at the World Cup. Now this was one of the matchups that caught my eye. It must be a little bit of a bummer when you travel close to halfway around the world, from Egypt to Russia. Maybe not that long, but it's a long way to travel. And you have to play for somebody from your home country. And that's what happened when Ahmed Adly and Abdelrahman Hesham met here in the first round of the World Cup. Now Ahmed Adly has for a long time been the best and or second best African player. Him and Amin Basim from Egypt have been the highest rated African players for a while. And Ahmed Adly is a former world junior champion. His opponent is a GM as well. His peak rating though is only 2450, so I wonder if he just barely, got the title on points or what happened there. In any case, Ahmed Adly is 5 years the senior of Abdelrahman Hesham, so probably somebody he's looked up to all his life, most of his chess life, and they're meeting here in the first round. And in the first game of the Classical, Adly won. So Abdelrahman needed to tie things up in the Classical portion, and he managed to do that. And then he got the white pieces again in the tiebreaks. So the tiebreaks work like this: you get 2 games of 25 plus 10. If you're still tight, you get another 2, 10 plus 10. Then you get a blitz game if it's still tight, 5 plus 3, 2 games. And finally, Armageddon if all of these 6 games end up without a result. So in the first 25 and 10 game, Abdelrahman was pressing hard, had a winning endgame, but did not see it through, and Adly saved the draw. And now Adly has the white pieces, and if he wins, he moves forward. Now it seems, and I thought when I saw this game, Black is playing, well, not exactly, but kind of a Blumenfeld gambit. It's very similar. Blumenfeld gambit is with the pawn on e6, but an interesting way to play, closely related to the Benko, and White could actually transpose to the Benko by playing pawn to c4 here. But Adly went with bishop to g5. And I was thinking, it seems like sometimes you get certain kind of characteristics from players from many countries, and my feeling, the players I've met, played with, and been teammates with from Egypt, they've almost always been very aggressive. They like to play aggressive lines, fianchetto their king's bishop, they play king's Indians, moderns, stuff like this. And in general, they're fighting players. And there do exist these like generalizations that often apply and can help you, like Hungarian players tend to play the Grunfeld. That used to be the case. So if you didn't know somebody and you just saw where he was from, you could maybe take an educated guess. So things like this I've noticed throughout my career, and that seems to be the case here, because Black is playing, he's definitely not playing for a draw but by playing this line. So White gives up the bishop pair, but he is damaging Black's structure. On the other hand, and we have some moves here, just development, d6, knight b2. So White is trying to get a piece to this square. Queen c7, knight c4, a5. One characteristic of this structure is that there's some dynamic potential for Black, and once he gets to play f5, especially when White doesn't have a dark squared bishop, then things start to open up quite quickly for Black. And there's also a variation in the Sicilian where this happens, where Black gets a lot of play. For now, queen d2, the knight comes out, knight to d7, Adly 2 on d4, and knight d4 turns out to be the first new move. This position had actually been played in a game in, I think, 2019, where Dubov had Black. I can't remember his opponent, but Dubov won a nice game with the Black pieces. Bishop a6, and the knight jumps into c6. Now this looks like a strong outpost. But on the other hand, very often when a knight is established like this on c6, you can play around it. You know, the knight isn't really hitting much. Black took on c4, so now, I mean, this is under control by black, and there's no real big threat. I mean, there's no knight jumps that particularly scare black, so he can kind of play around this this knight on c6. So looks very good for white, but maybe looks are a little bit deceiving. And somewhere around here, I think here after knight c5, queen f4, black should have maybe thought about playing f5. First he played this move, rook f to e1, a4, and only now he played f5. So he gave up the b4 pawn, but turns out this is difficult to defend, and this is also under attack. Now Adly decided to take on f5 and play knight c6. So he's going to sack the exchange and get rid of this bishop. Strong bishop on the defensive end, but black took the exchange and played rook e4. So white will not be given the time to play f6, bringing us to a lolly-mate. So black plays f6 himself, and bishop d3. Now the rook came back, and Adly played bishop b5. He could have taken, but I guess black would simplify perhaps a little bit too much by taking here and playing queen g7. When the queen trade is all but forced, and I think every endgame is going to be very difficult with this pawn running, and should be easy to get the other rook involved and trade it off. So this was not something that Adly fancied, so he kept the bishop on with bishop to b5, g5 now. So now the queen is a little bit outside of the game, and if you take on g7, f6 now, we play queen g7, and because of the rook hanging here behind the queen, we'd have to trade queens, which we don't like. So Adly tried to attack h4, queen h5, trying to keep the queens on, but black is just taking over rook e4. He's going to take here, so we take on g5, rook h3, but black is simply in time here, and now he's threatening to trap the queen. We can't allow that, so queen back, rook here, queen g3, rook e1 check, and now the black pieces are just, the floodgates have opened, and well, black has many good moves here, but I really liked how Abdelrahman Hesham finished this game. So tell me how you would play here. I thought what he did was pretty spectacular, and he played the move rook to h2. Pretty nice. Ahmed Adly took it, queen h6 and rook h3. Of course, if we go here, it's going to be mate. So rook h3, but now we get kind of a similar pattern to what I call the rook force divorce. That's usually played when we have a queen here, but of course it works also when there's a rook. We have to take the rook, king here, queen takes mate, and queen takes g4. And this is GG, believe it or not. If you go to the H file, I will give this check, and I will simply take here, and you can select if you go here, queen mates, or if you go here, knight mates. So Adly went with king f1, but that meets with knight d2, and the queen drops. And there's no way to fight here. So Adly resigned, and Abdelrahman Hesham pulls, I think, the biggest upset so far. I mean, the single game upset was definitely the Zambian player that beat Martirosyan, but knocking out Ahmed Adly, a former World Junior Champion, very strong player, most likely one of his idols. Fantastic achievement, so well done Abdelrahman Hesham, who moves on in the World Cup. So see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed that one. Bye bye.